Hi guys, welcome back. In today's video, we are going to introduce the concept of absolute and relative cell reference. So, this is an important concept to understand. When you are starting to use formulas and function within Excel, so by default when you input a cell reference in Excel, it goes in as the relative cell reference. So if we make this cell B11 equal to B6, when you are down 5 cells, by being a relative cell reference, what that means is if I move it over, it will still go back. So I move it over 3 rows. The formula it first do will be moved over 3 rows from the original. Equally, if I move it down 2 and over 3, then it will be referring a cell down 2 and over 3 from the original. So that's a relative cell reference. Now quite often in Excel, this is not what we actually want. We want to refer to a cell we want it to stay in that cell. So for example, say I always want to refer to this 30. So equals cell B3. Now at the moment that is a relative cell reference because that is how it automatically goes in Excel. To make it absolute, what we want to do is we need to put this dollar sign in front of the column reference and in front of the row reference. Now what this does is it locates to the column B by putting the dollar sign in front of the B, and it's located to the row 3 by putting a dollar sign on the front of the 3. This is mean that no matter where I copy this to my spreadsheet, it will always refer back to the original cell. So I have made that absolute reference now, and you can mix this up. So you can just locate to either a column or a row. So in this instance, if I take out the dollar sign in front of the 3, it's still located to the column because the dollar sign is still in front of the B. So it means the column will always stay the same. So if I move this over, you will still be referring back to the column. So it doesn't matter how many columns I move, it will still refer back to the column B. However, if I move it down 4 rows, the cell reference will be referring to a row 4 rows below the original, and this works for looking into your rows as well. If we do this, it won't matter how many rows and move it down, it still refer back to the original row. If I move it across, then it will be referring to a different column, because in this we have not located to the column anymore. Now this is also works in any sort of formulas, so it's not just relating to a single cell, it can be the same way in an array. So for example in this we take out these formulas. So in this instance we want to put a formula in. You want me to sum of the two numbers above, and this is a relative reference which you want to keep it as a rough relative reference because we want to copy it across and have it adding up the ones above in each instance. So if we copy that over, it will be add up the correct cell above. However, if we copy it down, it's moving the cells that are being referred to down the equivalent number. If you want that not to happen, we will need to locate to our row. So if we put a dollar sign, anything copies across. Now if we copy it down, we will still get the same result. Now using a mixture of our relative and absolute cell reference to get the average per day, we put in an equals total divided by the number of days. Now we want our total to copy across, so we want the column to stay relative. we will lock our row. But we want our cell with their numbers of days to always be the same. So we are going to change that to an absolute reference. Now if we copy this across, what you will find is it still takes the cell above, but remains with the absolute cell reference, that is referring back to this number of days cell. Understanding relative and absolute cell reference is quite important when you starting working with the bigger spreadsheets and using more complicated formulas, so that you make sure that you are always going to be referring back to the correct row, column or cell. So that's it. If you have any question in this topic, please do let me know. I hope you find this video useful, and I see you in the next video.